Okay. So, to give a little background more on Dave and the Synergy Oneness, we'll first go into some of the upcoming other guests that we have. And we have 5 series total. This one is Fire Energy. We also have some amazing guests coming up in October 25th. Philip Gruber, teacher of sacred geometry, biogeometry, and bioregenesis. We also have Charles Gilchrist coming up, world-acclaimed mandala fine artist and sacred geometry philosopher. And we have Laura Eisenhower, sacred geometry, sacred symbols, and geometrics of higher earth energies. On the water webinar, we have November 29th, Dr. Glenn Ryan, quantum biology research scientist. On December 20th, we have the air, which is Alan Steinfeld coming on, talking about vibrations of airwaves. And on the 5th element, January 6th, we have Adam Apollo, quantum vacuum. You can check out synergyoneness.com. You can buy tickets. You can buy the whole package. You'll save some money on that. We're also going to send you over 2,000 pages of PDF files, lots of information on that. So that is some awesome stuff we're putting out there. Please make sure to look at synergyoneness.com.
Can you see me now?
No.
Can you see me now?
No.
Okay, well, I did my best to click allow on both the mic and on the camera. It's too bad because we wanted to announce a historic event and have the videos that we could replay that would help promote you as well as the entire free energy situation.
I have a really bad feedback. Everything I'm saying, I hear on your end in the background.
Uh-huh.
I have like a 3-second delay. So are you on phone or something? Because everything I'm saying, I can hear through you.
Okay. Well, we have a... If I turn the volume down completely, I won't hear you at all. So,
Okay.
So let's do this, guys. Dave, turn down your volume just a little bit.
Okay, I did.
Okay, Jonah, go ahead.
Yeah.
What's that?
Do you have headphones ready to test, Dave?
No.
Headphones. Can you turn us down a little more?
Yes.
Wow. I feedback.
Try it now.
Test. Yeah, still feedback. The only other option, since he doesn't have headphones and we're getting feedback, is to Dave can mute himself while you're talking, and then there won't be feedback on that.
Okay. Okay, if he holds his hand up as if he's going to like talk, I'll hit the mute, and then he can hold his hand up again, and I'll put the mic back on.
Yeah, perfect. So Jonah, when you go ahead and talk, he'll have it muted, so he can't hear you. You can't hear yourself in feedback.
I'm not hearing him now anyway.
I think you're muted, Jonah.
There's a big echo happening between all of us, me, you, and him. So
Yeah, but it won't when I mute it. It won't. Like I'm going to mute it right now. And now you test for the.
Go for it. Okay, so Jonah, Dave is going to mute himself. So
okay.
So you can ask the question, and then this one's going to be not as fluid because of the feedback. So you ask the question, he'll have it muted so you can't hear yourself back, and then you can just mute yourself when he talks. Back and forth like that. That's the way we have to do it. Okay,
awesome.
Go for it.
Sounds good. Okay, well, we're going to welcome to the webinar the 4th panelist today, Synergy, Oneness of the Elements, Fire, which is energy, different types of energy. And joining us on the show today, we're going to have a very special guest, one of 4, which is Dave Parker. Dave Parker is the founder of the Free Energy Party, which is the first political party in the United States history advocating for free energy. The Free Energy Party is ushering in a new world of free energy power systems. Dave is also heavily involved in research for finding cures for diseases, as well as organic permaculture. you can check out freeenergyparty.com. The first question I'm going to start off with today for Dave is, what is the fundamental concept of free energy, and why is it so important that we focus on these technologies to provide us with free energy? Dave?
Mine is now unmuted.
Nod your head, I guess, if you can hear me. All right. Well, free energy, it should not actually be a category of its own that someone has to create. That's almost like saying, can you define this wonderful new notion of free water? Well, water shouldn't have to be novelty as an item of abundance, because it already is. It's like one day, maybe Monsanto, if they own all of the seeds, there'll be someone interviewed that wants to make a revolution, and they'll say, define this new concept you've got of seeds that actually sprout. And so we shouldn't really have free energy as such a revolutionary concept. And because of that, I've ignored all of the pressure for years now of people saying you would do better introducing free energy if you didn't use the word. If you didn't say free energy, you wouldn't have this kickback from everyone who, as you were implying earlier, said, there is no free lunch. You can't get a free lunch. You can't get more out than you put in. And this kind of thing like this, okay? Well, you can, if you open a door and there's a flood in there, you can get however much is in there. You don't have to put as much energy into drilling a well as you get out in oil. How come you don't apply the same rules to yourself? And so the fact that we are talking about free energy doesn't mean that something doesn't have to be paid to the workers. Something doesn't have to be paid for the materials, and something doesn't have to be paid to distribute this technology. It means that it's from a free source. And there's expanded meanings also. An expanded meaning may be over unity, which means from the standpoint of the old paradigm, where you're saying in a closed system you can't get more out than you put in. Hey, this is not a shovel. We're looking at undiscovered areas of scientific knowledge that have been ignored. Like when you're looking at a spark gap creating energy, well, it's not just a free energy device. What it is it's tapping into more energy out than in for a reason, because it was already there. Because it was already there, whether it's the vacuum, or whether it's the Dirac Sea, or whether it's the ether, or whether it's the unknown, whether it's 0-point energy, whatever the lingo or the name, whatever you want, noun you want to tag this thing with, the fact is that there is sort of an equal and opposite kickback from an unfamiliar, unrecognized source, where when you spike a big, whether it's a spark gap or another signal, you spike this big signal and then suddenly crash it, you get like a kickback, and you can take that extra energy and store it in capacitors and batteries and use it. So as far as free energy, that's all a definition based upon the old scarcity paradigm. The fact is that it's abundant energy of unrecognized sources that the monopoly, the petrochemical monopoly, is the last people in the world that are going to want to acknowledge that motors are not built correctly, or that energy exists that's basically self-duplicating. The Free Energy Party is working on or toward a photon engine, which is what I named it, based upon the explosion of chlorine and hydrogen. Now, they say, well, that chlorine is dangerous. Well, the ingredients are in seawater. The chlorine, if it's made on demand, it explodes, breaks apart, remixes, explodes. There is no exhaust. So, there is no exhaust. So when you look at the answer, what is free energy? It's second in power to nuclear, because it's a limited photochemical activated chain reaction. So a chain reaction, isn't that what we have with nuclear bombs? Isn't a chain reaction with nuclear bombs? And so to conclude, the answer is there are tremendous mountains and oceans of power that the mainstream petrochemical cartel, making their money off of death, hell, and the grave don't want to acknowledge are there. And we're going to introduce them. And you know, the Hallback array is another example. The arrangement of those magnets shows a 97% efficiency rate before doing anything to make it over unity. So just as the most powerful electric motor in the world, by aligning those magnets all correctly in a Hallback array, you have no magnetic field on one side and double the magnetic field on the other side, imitating the holy grail of the long desired idea of a monopole, which would give you free magnetic energy. And you know, even concentrated solar, just using a satellite dish and taking broken mirrors you go collect in the alley and gluing them with epoxy or whatever in the satellite dish, you can concentrate that and melt a rock. And so you can melt liquid salt, and you can make steam, and you can run that steam. You can reach such high temperatures. The way they filled the Hindenburg was with hydrogen by running steam over a hot iron catalyst. Well, it has to be like 1300 F. No problem. Concentrated used satellite dish that you found thrown out, you can do that. And you can turn that steam into hydrogen right there, because 13 or 15 or 2,000 degree catalyst is not a problem. And so this whole paradigm of free energy is basically undiscovered energy. And we're about to do a demonstration on the front of the White House, although we're going to be careful not to get arrested, you know. And we're going to do a demonstration there, and we're going to show an over unity asuppressed technology. It's a high efficient system, 200% over unity conversion of water into HHO, and we'll show it right there, and the water being pulled with a dehumidifier, basically. If you want to know the truth, it's like the technology to pull water out of the air is not rocket science. And so
atmospheric.
Yeah, you could really order a $60 Walmart dehumidifier if you wanted to, and convert that over to your hydrogen generator to make it clear that abundance is before us. And so, in answer to your question, I think we're facing a lot of misnomers, a lot of words, trick words, and so, well, I'm going to mute so I can hear you.
How are these technologies safer on the environment and to ourselves by implementing these to the public?
Line is now unmuted.
A holistic, all-inclusive environment does not just poison everything and pollute everything. When you've got, for instance, an electric motor, it does not pollute. And if you don't think that genociding an entire nation is pollution plus worse, and destruction plus, exponential destruction, then you're not looking at it as, there's no way to put a value on all of those lives. There's no way to replace all of those lives from war over oil. And the destruction in the environment from fracking to destroy the water supply, all of these things are not sustainable, and it's built around a scarcity paradigm where they're acting like that oil, and the Free Energy Party will file a lawsuit along with our press conferences to show for everyone, whether it's the military or anyone, that oil is no longer a strategic asset. And so we can't justify war over oil, claiming that it's a strategic asset, when even the process I was just telling you a while ago from seawater, the hydrogen chlorine explosion, was developed with no exhaust by Robert Scragg, and you can look up Robert Scragg, Solar Reactor Corporation, but I want to make it clear that when you burn hydrogen, it basically turns back into water. So it's non-polluting. The only pollution is water. You start with water, and then it turns back into water again. So this is a holistic type of a clean process. So not only does it get people out from under the jackboot heel of a draconian government bought out and purchased by a petrochemical monopoly, making their money now on death and disease, but it also is clean environmentally. So you pick. I'm unmuting.
Well, I think you're exactly on point with the draconian and what's really happening to the planet. In your opinion, which of the free energy technologies currently available do you see being the most effective solution for the consumer? And what do you suggest is the best way of implementing this technology into society now?
Line is now unmuted.
I think it's a very important question for me because no matter where you are at in the free energy movement, where we want to bring everyone together instead of having uncoordinated soloists, we want everybody to get together and let's set our egos down. There's minor disagreements. We have to agree to disagree. And to answer your question, like the HHO process that I'm telling you about is a good introductory for underground manufacturing, which the Free Energy Party invented the term. You could go on Google and you couldn't find the word anywhere in the world. And psychologically, not as a big aside, but an important small aside, you need to understand the ideology of this wording and why we basically were wearing our own shock collars, afraid to cross the invisible fence into our own freedom. And so you've got to understand that people that want marijuana that's illegal in a state where it's illegal, they are told that this is illegal, you can't have any. And they say, well, I'm not so sure I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to go get it underground. But on the other hand then, when people in free energy are told they won't let us have it, then they kind of get down on their knees and start worshiping lizard people and the Illuminati and say we're destined to suffer, and they whine and cry like little babies. So what we need, obviously, is underground manufacturing so that we can change the world without disaster theology or disaster philosophy. If you look at the Venus Project and you look at Zeitgeist, and they reach a point where you're looking at a utopian dream, and you want to make sure this doesn't turn into a dystopian nightmare, like if you remove the money before you get rid of the monopolists, and then suddenly who's going to rise up from the ashes? Well, it's going to be the monopolists. They make their money off of a crash. So how do we do it? They started stealing our money, and this is speaking exactly to your question, believe it or not. They started stealing our money around the 1980s, hand over fist, in such a way that by now our economics resemble feudalism. The fact that 8 families, they happen to be 8 white families, own 86% of the money supply means even if you're critical about the Fed and they're printing up fake money, give us some fake money. We'd like some fake money, but no. 86% of the entire money supply is going to some people that don't need the money whatsoever at all, not even lubricating the economy. So, starting around the 80s, the 1% was created. The majority of the money began to travel out of the middle class, allegedly disappeared. So to bring change as a tool, a strategic tool of evo-revo solutionary tool of economic change to avert disaster politics, the Free Energy Party would like to build up any of your companies that have a free energy technology that's viable. We want to say, have you got the Starseed know about a free energy technology? We are going to make you a multi-millionaire. Now you're saying, well, hold it, that doesn't sound like a yogi, a non-materialist. Dave, I thought you were a vegetarian. I thought you just see material goods as like tools. Okay, I'm just trying to tell you, we're going to move the money from the 1% back to the 99% by making the people the power producers, not war over oil and environmental destruction, and we're going to make the people a decentralized grid, not a centralized grid by monopolies, where the people are actually what is being invested in, with the people as power producers. So although there's a lot of merit and a lot that we admire about ECAT, large megawatt units, or the company that you're working with a large megawatt unit, or the bubbles rising through the water that Sterling Allen was just talking about, having a megawatt units. there's a lot of merit, and we admire that, but we know the power of the monopolies to suppress a single target. Whether it's with legislation or any other kind of oppression, we know the powers of the monopoly. And so as a true power of the people answer, we believe that whether it's a Qmogen type technology, or whether it's a genset that's running on hydrogen over unity or whatever. And a lot of people, they pick too harshly, like it has to be over unity. Well, what I was talking about with the solar concentrator, it will heat up molten salt. So in the night, your house continues to make steam, which you can make into either hydrogen or just run a steam generator. And what's over unity about that? It's just a technology that we're ignoring. The oceans themselves, there's technologies. We've got information on them that wave generators, as well as other type of ways that use the oceans, that you would shock you. They're not even known normally. And so it doesn't matter if it's straight up over unity, but to catch the entire revolutionary momentum that we want, we've chosen to introduce, I'm very impressed with the Hallback Array. They're putting it on drones, so the drones don't have to land. They don't want the people with a Hallback Array having power generators on their home, but they want drones that don't have to land to have free energy technology magnet motor on them. Okay? So because that's an extraordinary example, well proven by Launch Point Industries as a self-runner that you start with your hand and it just takes off. It's the most powerful torque per weight ratio in the world and for any electric motor, and they're known to be powerful. And also for the photon engine, which I was talking about, the photochemical activated chain reaction, the ingredients in seawater. Okay, and so I'm really impressed by those, but I want you to know that we have something that will reach out to the minds of the average American who has heard that there's hydrogen in water, and the dream that you could replace this mucky oil and war over oil with water as a fuel, to make that real and prove with existing, and if Sterling's listening, I want him to hear this part, existing independent lab tests already done that cost a lot of money, showing over unity by 200%. And so we would love to take a small genset and give it to you, Jonah, so that you have the extra income that you're not paying to the grid, plus a certain amount as part of the new paradigm company, where power's being sold back up the grid in a reverse the grid campaign. Oh, I'm unmuting you.
Let me ask you the next question, Dave. Do you believe free energy can help bring an end to poverty? And if so, how would it contribute to this change?
Mine is now unmuted.
I believe the petrodollar is the source of poverty. It's the ultimate manifestation of extended greed over time in history. People try to say capitalism is evil, and that's just a misnomer in the set-up fake war between the left and the right as they orchestrate our psychology. They give us false choices between the left and the right. Coach or Cock or whatever you want to call him, he shapes, and people say, oh, somebody controls him. Well, listen, he's a player amongst an entire group that have worked out the details. That's right. And then so they have, he even was the vice president candidate in 1980 on the Libertarian Party. So they take a beautiful vehicle like the Libertarian Party, and then they say, well, would you like, say, so many millions and millions of dollars? And they get their foot in there, and now it's a Trojan horse situation where they're pushing certain things, and I'll tell you what they are. And over on the other hand, the Soros is his partner, oil mega multi-billionaire, who's shaping the agenda on the left, recommending the elimination of money, not the elimination of monopoly, so that you have a dystopian nightmare instead of a utopian dream. You're going to have chip implants in FEMA camps. So he bragged that he's going to do this. He's bragging that he's going to do this. He's the major financier went to take over the Ukraine, and they ushered Chevron and Monsanto into the Ukraine the day they took over the Ukraine. And so what I'm trying to tell you, is that we, to end poverty, have to get away from the petrodollar with a free energy dollar, however we do that. Let's start changing the money and moving the money back over by reversing the grid and introduce abundance, which is the elimination of poverty. Sterling put it wonderfully. He said, look at how it would change everything, from the cost of transportation, the cost of food, how everything would change if you change the energy domination by the petrochemical cartel, which is an illegal monopoly. Monopoly happens to be illegal, okay? And so we have to defend free enterprise. We can't look at electronics, which are in the fast lane of economic competition, and come out with new models all the time and praise that and just not notice that gas and oil and transportation hasn't changed in 150 years.
So on to question number 5. What is the best technology that you have seen thus far that's currently available now that we can help improve on the situation and get this out into the masses? Do you have any particular technologies you want to recommend to get into people's hands right now?
Mine is now unmuted.
We are going to Washington, D.C. and present at a news conference a generator running on water that we pull out of the air that we recommend that we can put on everyone's homes. Don't get angry at me and say, how come you haven't bought me one yet, Dave Parker? I'm not Daddy Warbucks. I'm Dave Parker. I'm showing that we can actually underground manufacture these, and no one can stop free enterprise. If you want to call this the free enterprise generator in order to make it happen, then that might not be a bad idea. But I'm recommending this because the American public and the world population will be able to embrace warmly in their heart the idea of using water instead of oil. And the people will come forward with a lot of miseducation and misinformation. They say, but there's a water shortage. There's a water shortage. Okay, we just told you the world is 80% water. There's not a water shortage. It doesn't go anywhere. And so what happens is the human body is 80% water. Now, when you see rain, and if HARP and people like that can suppress this or try to create a Nestle-motivated water shortage, a scarcity-motivated disaster, guess what? The water's still there. Energy is neither created nor destroyed, and those water molecules are still there. And if they start destroying the water under the ground with fracking, we can filter that water, we can clean that water, and we can pull tremendous ocean of water out of the sky. And we can jail everybody at HARP if we find any evidence that this is more than a conspiracy theory. And the Free Energy Party's not talking about coming in with insane, frightful changes. So we're not saying we're going to come in and we'll never get voted in if we are going to do that. But what we are saying is that we have a list of people and conspiracies on that list that logic and humanity and the law requires that they're investigated. And if people are jailed, that's because we believe in the rule of law. If somebody, if Cheney says, I just heard this broadcast from Dave Parker, and I want someone from our Blackwater team to go and kill him, okay? Guess what? People are talking like me all over the world. You're going to have to kill everybody in the world, okay? And we're not just Dave Parker. We're not just Jonah Bolt. We're an idea that's spread amongst millions of people and spreading and spreading and spreading more. Okay? So if somebody says, okay, we're not going to go and arrest people in all these people in the past, but we will tell you that it was illegal for Cheney to use the Halliburton loophole to bypass the Environmental Protection Association and destroy the water supplies. And we will tell you that it's illegal for the government to be bought out like a bunch of political whores, and that if we want to file a RICO Act lawsuit and name the names of the people, it's too bad you can't see me, then you could see a guy wearing a tie with fire in his eyes and believe that we can do what we have before us. But I just want you to know that the RICO Act has teeth in it. When you're talking about racketeering and collusion in suppressing technology and suppressing world improvement, free market enterprise, the marketing of world improvement technologies is illegal. And we're going to file lawsuits. But before we file lawsuits, we want to demonstrate the generator. We're not foolish enough to go on the private property of the White House, but we can certainly have the White House in the backdrop. And we'll get in and get out safely, because it'll be quite a while before I have to hide in a bunker. And I don't think that's going to happen anyway. I really don't. But we're going to put that technology right in front of you, and maybe you could stream it live. Maybe you can have some way that you can have a live streaming video of us demonstrating with the Washington. Somebody said, why don't you use a green screen and put the Capitol? I said, are you kidding? We want the news team from Washington, D.C. to go to the Capitol. We're not faking here. We're not making some kind of make-believe. We want the building that we want to move into in the background, and we're going to show the right and the correct leadership and the right and correct answers.
That's right, and I have to agree with you more. One of my last questions here, then we're going to wrap it up, Dave, is before your interview ends, what is a last statement or a quote that you can say to the world that you can help inspire people to take action now to help themselves and then in turn help the world? What would that quote or recommendation be?
Mine is now unmuted.
I would like to, before I make that statement, I would like to say many people, like some of our previous guests, God bless them, hope in the form of religious hope or in the form of a new age hope or just hope, like you meditate and you are looking for hope, is a precious thing. A long time ago, I noticed as a child that the word hope is an acronym for heaven on planet Earth. And we are trying to offer the substance of that hope, so that instead of you just grabbing your rear end and hoping, that you have a plan of action. I want to say something else before I make the statement, because you're asking what people I can recommend that people do to bring this change, which your question is, as I see it. And I want to say something else. The word Illuminati in the beginning, according to many, meant illuminating, holders of the light. Now, the whale oil, as the whaling industry, and they killed all the whales, that was the first source of the illuminating oil. And then one day he was shooting for some food, and up from the ground came a bubbling crude, and they discovered oil, and a geological oil, and about 15 years after that, they made kerosene, and so suddenly whale oil as an illuminating oil was replaced. Now, a lot of us would like to act like that there's people chanting in devil suits, and that's why we're powerless. We're powerless because the evil people rule the world and all this. Well, this is not true. This is a good self-psyops to hold yourself back. And it's time that we become the holders of our own light, both internally as yogis and externally in the world. And so this is the time, and the way that you can bring it about right now, in my humble opinion, is if you see the Free Energy Party live out the truth and present a independent lab tested documentation in front of the White House, I'm encouraging everyone to do two things. Let's demand that we have a public funded presidency. Basically, we're looking at a collective presidency. It's not about Dave Parker. I'm going to want to slap someone like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in there. But in the meanwhile, we want it structured where we don't have an emperor. We have a team of all of the people as the president or whatever. But let's public fund it to show that we care about a real answer instead of being monopoly purchased. And then next, let's do a protest vote. Everybody, although you're thinking voting doesn't count, everything's predetermined and all that. No, everybody get out and make sure you spread the word. We're doing a anti-monopoly protest vote to put this generator, which was on TV, on our houses and reverse the money from the 1% back to the 99%. And that's what I recommend. Hold it, I got to take the mute off.
Yep. And that's exactly what I've been pushing the last 10 months as a collective presidency, to bring together people like yourself and the rest of us to really bring in this new age of Aquarius, to bring in collaboration, to bring in synergy, to bring people together, because without that, we're all just spinning our own wheels and we're not going to get anywhere. There's no one person, one party that can fix this system. We have to do what Buckminster Fuller said, which is not go against a system that's not working, but we create the new one to make the old one obsolete. So with that, any final words or quotes or anything you want to end the call with today? Dave, please.
Mine is now unmuted.
In a calm tone, I want to thank you for your work as a light worker, and I want to thank Mr. Winter and Mr. Sereda, and I want to thank Mr. Allen, and I want to encourage everyone. Let's build up the good things about each other. You know, it wasn't my idea. I think Sterling can handle this, to make an example. Okay, for us to unite, let's unite around the tripod. Free energy, cures for diseases, and organic permaculture will stop the petrochemical monopoly. Let's stop the petrochemical monopoly economically. Let's stop them economically. That does not mean we're not light workers. It means we want illumination inside and we want to manifest it outside. And so if we have differences, if you believe the original sin means we have to suffer first and I don't, then let's set that aside and find our common denominators. Let's make the tripod of the free energy, cures for diseases, and organic permaculture what Buckminster Fuller asked us to do.
And last thing I want to say is practical action. We want to simplify things, make it very simple, and we want to collaborate with everybody out there. So check out synergyoneness.com. We have a 5-part series. We're bringing 20 of the top people in the world together like yourself that have solutions. We want to put these things in action. We want to start now, and we want to start collaboration. So check out the freeenergyparty.org. And thank you so much, Dave, for your service and for your work and for doing what you're doing and being a bearer of truth in your mission. And I hope to see you and meet you soon, Star Brother, and be part of your free energy party. So thank you so much for coming on the Synergy webinar.
Mine is now unmuted.
You would certainly be a great leader in the free energy party, and you would be great in a political position because of your sincerity and your ability to enunciate the ideas and the fact that we know you are not for sale. And you've got a high IQ, and I really think that you're certainly, I would feel just as comfortable with you there as me, and then we are a collective presidency that we're trying to put together, and you said it so well. If we're able to follow this up and make some kind of a video that we could do a pretext before doing the demo in Washington, or anything like that, we could push it.
Absolutely.
God bless you.
Yeah, thank you. Namaste and blessings, and just have an amazing day. Thank you so much. And thank you all the participants out there. Synergy, Oneness of the Elements, a 5-part series. And after this, we're going to go into a whole nother series next year. It's on from here on out. We're starting the Jedi Council, the different councils, the collaborative networks, the tribal councils. The time is now, so stay connected. Starseedradio.com, Synergy Oneness, Portal to Ascension, Starseed International. We are just going across the board to get the truth out now. My name is Jonah Bolt, the Octorian Starseed, and thank you, Portal to Ascension. Thank you, Neil, my star brother. Thank you so much. I love you. And to everyone out there, please contact us. Get involved. We want you to be involved and get the truth out there. We are in the lead. Namaste. Have a great and amazing day. Thank you.